Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Abdullah Conte here. Big news this weekend, big trade. I was going to make a video kind of talking about the Commanders' position later in the week, but honestly, last night's trade was kind of big, and there's a lot of implications in regards to the team and what they're going to be looking for. And now, I mean, the Giants being able to accumulate another top 10 pick kind of throws a big wrench into what the Commanders might have been able to get and just the strategy, right? Like, I mean, now there's a lot of people who are not really sure what the Giants are going to do, and it gives the Giants a lot more flexibility, which will, in turn affect Washington overall, right? So first and foremost, look, man, I got the hat on. I think it's the first time I've worn a Commanders, hat on stream, and it's mainly because of I wanted to rep the spear coming on too. I think it's something that I've been complaining and champion for a long time is for them to bring the spear, and I always told everybody if they brought the spear back, I would definitely rock something with the spear on it. So definitely nice to see it. I think the hat looks nice. I went with the I know a lot of people have been going with the black version. I kind of like this version a little bit more, so definitely happy to rock it for this episode. But definitely, it's still a big win for the Commanders. Obviously, we've heard and saw all the other teams that dropped jerseys this year, and it sounds like most people believe the Commanders were either the best or the second best behind the Ravens in jersey rollouts. So I can't wait to shoot them. It's going to be a lot of fun taking pictures of the squad this year. Can't wait. But anyways, look, let's talk about it. I mean, Dexter Lawrence gets traded for the 10th overall pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. I know it's like you can't really tell who wins a trade when it comes to draft picks because you kind of have to wait like 5 years to see how those players turned out. But like, it's hard for me to imagine that the Giants don't win this trade. I mean, you're getting a top 10 pick for a guy who's about to turn 29, and I know Dexter Lawrence is a beast, but how much more does Dexter Lawrence have in the tank? I don't know. I mean, basically, I just thought it was very rich. I thought they paid. It's weird. The Bengals are weird, man. I mean, the fact that they didn't want to pay, Trey Hendrickson, the fact that they made this trade, it's like they're weird. They make weird moves, and then they also don't want to pay people, and they just grabbed a guy who wants to get a new contract. And I know that they signed him for like another additional year for $28 million, but like still, it's just, I don't know about this move. I don't think it makes the biggest amount of sense for them. Like, I get it. It'll help their defense overall, but I still think getting a younger, talented player could really benefit them. But they need to capitalize on Joe Burrow being, at the height of his career right now. There is rumblings that he might not be the most happy there. So, basically I think they're trying to make sure that they have a defense that can keep up with the scoring attack that they have on offense. But for the Giants, man, this is a big win for them. Getting, there was a lot of rumblings about the power struggle between John Harbaugh and Joe Schoen, their GM, and what they wanted. There was a lot of discussions that I've seen this week about, one, are they going to go with a lineman like Maui Noah? Is it going to be Sonny Styles? Joe Schoen was at Jordan Tyson's pro day a couple days ago. I heard that he had dinner with him afterwards too. So it's clear that they're looking at receiver, and they kind of need it. I mean, they're a team that needs a receiver. They need some help with Jackson Dart. They're going to go Jeremiah Love if he's there, right? And then there's also just Caleb Downs. They love Caleb Downs. And the problem with all that is those are all players that the Commanders are interested in as well, right? And so, I was going to make a video about who I thought that they would be taking. And still might do that later on in the week, but essentially now it's kind of like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've kind of been trying to tap into all these different analysts to see what they've been saying. I listened to Josh Taylor on Real Stream earlier today. Trevor Sikkema had his last night that I was listening to. There's been some mock drafts that come out. I think before this trade, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was Maui Noah, and I think that they were considering trading back because they really want to address O-line, but they also are trying to get better overall, right? And I think that they have a massive hole at receiver. I think getting a guy like Jeremiah Love could help their offense overall, and then getting somebody like Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs to to really take over as captain of that defense is really important to them as well. So, but now they have the freedom to just pick best player available, because some of those guys that might have been too early to take, like Maui Noah or Downs at 5, they maybe can wait till 10 and get them, So it just really throws a wrench with the Commanders, because I do think the 3 people that seem like the most likely guys for the Commanders at that 7 spot to me, are Love and Sonny Styles, and I think Downs, but there's a lot of rumblings about if they're really high on Downs or not. And then even Tyson, right? Like, these are all guys that Commanders are involved in, and it shows that the Commanders are going to get somebody. The Giants can't take all these people, right? But basically, could it throw a wrench in what they're going to do? So basically, I kind of wanted to go through every pick and just kind of talk about what I think each team and what the rumblings are about each team and what they're more likely to do, right? So I basically have my a mock draft. I'm just doing the mock draft database right now, and let's see if I can get to share my screen here, and let's go to right here, and I'm going to share it, right? Let's see if it pops up actually. We'll start this draft and we'll go ahead and pick Mendoza. Now, what are the Jets going to do? I mean, I think it's just Reese or Bailey. That's just the vibe we're getting, Reese or Bailey. I know that they had canceled the trip for Bailey, his visit or whatever. And I kind of feel like that was just kind of to give an opportunity to give a visit to somebody else. I think there's also, if they are going to draft him, it's kind of crazy for him to come visit and then they draft him and then he comes back like a week later. I think that if they kind of know, I think they also realize that it's going to be a bigger deal to cancel the trip without mentioning it. I feel like if they kind of knew that they just were still unsure, I think they would have just went through with the trip and then been like, hey, we're considering it, and then just not do it. I just think that Bailey is the more like, especially if Aaron Glenn has any say in this, David Bailey is the more ready product, and he doesn't have any time, right? Like he is on the hot seat. So if Aaron Glenn is involved in the decision making, Aaron Glenn should be pushing for David Bailey. But if it's one of these things where it's like they feel like they could take some time and basically get Arvell Reese to where they believe he will be. Like, he seems like more of a project than David Bailey. I just still think that David Bailey's the more polished player, so I think they're just going to go with David Bailey. That's my opinion. Now, 3 is where I think that somebody's going to trade up. There's conversation that Kansas City wants to trade up to come get a edge rusher here. There's conversations that Dallas wants to trade up to come get an edge rusher or Sonny Styles. I think Sonny Styles is more of the person that they're looking for. But I think that, if Arizona does stick and pick, Maui Noah is one person, but I do think that they're just going to go with Reese probably. And so I think that whether Arizona picks or somebody comes up to pick here, they're just going to pick Arvell Reese. So whether that's Kansas City, whether that's Dallas, whether that's Arizona, I just feel like it's most likely Reese here. So I'm just putting Reese here, even though Arizona might not be the team. I just think that Reese is the guy that they're going to go after in this spot, right? And if Arizona does end up picking, it might just be Reese. Now, Tennessee is the like, if the Commanders are looking at any team thoroughly on what what's going to affect their pick, Tennessee has to be the number one, right? Because Tennessee is also a team that is eyeing Jeremiah Love. There's a lot of people who believe he might go there, but we've heard Adam Schefter say it. We've heard some of these bigwigs talk about how like they're not so sure that they really want to go running back here, because it is a premium position, especially at the top 5, in the top 5, and they don't have as good of an O-line as some of these other teams that might take advantage of that. And if there's a guy like Sonny Styles, like I think that Sonny Styles is somebody that they could really be considering here, because you have Saleh that comes from working with Fred Warner. They might need a guy that's really going to take over on the defensive side of the ball. I think that if Reese was to fall, like say Maui Noah goes number 3 to Arizona and Reese was to fall, I think they would automatically just take Reese here. But to me, there is talks about a receiver. There are possibilities about Ruben Bain. I know that, Cam Ward has been really pushing for Ruben Bain to be that guy that they pick. Is Love the guy that they pick? I honestly don't think that Love is going to get picked at Tennessee. I know it's very possible, but I just don't think they are. I mean, I think, with Pollard and Tyjae Spears, like I think that they have some running game. I just think that they are probably better suited to go for somebody on the defensive side of the ball. And so that's why I'm not so heavily convinced that they go Jeremiah Love here. So in my opinion, I think that they're probably going to go. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, it's possible that they could go Love. I don't know what the Commander. This is where like I said, whatever they do is going to be what's going to really affect them. Because if they go with Love, then I think that really says that, if they go with Love, that changes a lot for the Commanders. If they don't go with Love, I think that the Commanders might be home free, because I don't really think the Giants are going Love either. I think the Giants would be going with Maui Noah. I think for them, it's Styles or Maui Noah at that 5 spot. I know they've talked a lot about Jordan Tyson, but I think Jordan Tyson's probably at the 10 spot. I don't think he's at the 5 spot. I think they believe they could probably wait on Tyson because of his injury issues. And even if they don't wait on Tyson, I think they believe that Tate, Tyson, or Lemon will be there at 10 if they really want to go that. Or they might just wait for Downs, right? Like if they go Maui Noah, they could get Downs here instead, right? So to me, what am I going to do? Like I kind of want to do what I think that they're going to do, and I think they're going to go Styles. I really do think that they're not going to go Love. I just don't. And maybe it's because it's wishful thinking, maybe, because I do think that if there's a team that really could benefit from Love, I think Washington benefits from him more. And there's a lot of people who've mentioned that they feel like Washington might be that spot. So I think that Love is going to end up getting to Washington if they don't, because there is the conversation about Love at the Giants, and they also could do it, because I think that Love is far better than, he's far better than Pollard and Tyjae Spears in the last team, and he's also far better than Scatterbo and Tyrone Tracy. I just think that there's bigger holes for the Giants. Like if the Giants really need, and this is why I said it's so important that they got another pick, because they could take Love because they get another pick in five more picks, right? Like they don't have to wait long to get another guy. I just think that when you think about what's best for their team, I think getting either Caleb Downs, Maui Noah, or Jordan Tyson would make the most sense, right? Like I think that in those situations, those are the 3 guys that just makes most sense to me more than Love does. I think Love is kind of, sure, he'd be great, but they don't have any receivers. When you look at their receivers, they lost Wan'Dale Robinson. They have Malik Neighbors coming off an injury. Like I really don't know anybody else. They really need to help Dart. And then I think also just protecting Dart, like getting somebody like Maui Noah. And so I think that they're going to probably wait on Downs. I think they want Downs, and I think Downs is going to be the pick at 10. But I think that they're going to go Maui Noah here. This is my really opinion. I think that that's really what Harbaugh wants to do. But Harbaugh has mentioned multiple times about how he really wants to build through the trenches and really establish, the O and D line, which is kind of ironic considering they just traded Dexter Lawrence away. I think this one, there's a lot of talk about Cleveland wants to trade back also. Makes sense. They're kind of in a weird position. I think it was Dane Brugler who was talking about how they're just in like no man's land, and they really want to go back and see if they can maybe acquire more picks, because I think they're also a team that's like, hey, we could get a receiver or a lineman here, or we could trade back a few picks and get that same quality level of receiver and lineman. I don't think the receiver or the tight end room, even though they're premium positions that go higher in the draft, I don't think they're that great of classes this year in comparison to others, right? So for Cleveland, I think that they would probably try to trade out, and I think that's another thing that could be interesting is whoever comes to trade up, who are they trying to get? If they don't trade out, I think they just take Carnell Tate. Ohio guy, they basically have watched him play his whole career there. And so that just leaves the Commanders with the opportunity to get Jeremiah Love. And I think that this is very much the likelihood if this happens. If I this would, and maybe this is also like just maybe wishful thinking on my end. I really believe that this is kind of where it could go, but I think that if they're sitting here looking at Love or Downs, I'm thrilled because those are my top two players, the top two guys I think that would be the best suited for them. But I'm going to do another one of this and just to redo it, just to be like, hey, what would happen if Tennessee does take Jeremiah Love, right? So right now I'm going to have Washington taking Jeremiah Love, right? I'm going to have Mansour Delane going to the Saints. I'm going to have Ruben Bain going to the Kansas City Chiefs because they need edge. And then I'm going to have Caleb Downs as the pick at 10. And I think that that's exactly how the Giants would be really thrilled with that, I think, overall. But let's try it again, right? Like I'm going to just do a restart of this, and I'd like to try it basically with the only real strong difference is that number 4 spot. And let's say that, you know, instead of them going for Sonny Styles, say they go for Jeremiah Love. So we have Fernando Mendoza going there, we have Bailey going here, we have Reese going here, and then instead of them going with Sonny Styles, let's say they go with Love, right? Even though I don't think that's what's going to happen. Now, if this happens, I think that the Giants go with Sonny Styles. Like, I think that they have Maui Noah and Sonny Styles kind of at the same point, but I think they just go with Sonny Styles. I think that there's a lot of people in love with Sonny Styles. I think that they are also in love with Sonny Styles. Now, if they do that, does Cleveland go with Maui Noah instead? And I kind of think that they do, because I think that Maui Noah is known as that number 1 tackle. I think it's still between probably him, and Tate, and I think that they just go with Maui Noah. And then at this point, the vibe that I'm getting, and I think it's from, you know, listening to Josh and reading his articles and then reading just about a lot of people and their feelings about how much the team loves Tate. Like, I think that there's a lot of talk about the team wanting to trade back, and I would prefer that they trade back because I also feel like I would love to see them, if they're going to go for a receiver, I'd rather them go with Jordan Tyson. You know, I think that in this position, I would go Caleb Downs. There wouldn't even be hesitation. I would go with Caleb Downs. But there's just more hype about the fact that they're maybe a little down on Downs, and the fact that they brought Nick Cross in. They're kind of like, hey, maybe they play too similarly. I still am holding hope because I saw that Jordan Schultz tweet that talked about how, like, it was just such a random kind of tweet because they were visiting with a lot of people that weekend. It was the whole Top Golf weekend, and for some reason, he only mentioned the fact that they were meeting with Caleb Downs, or that they met with Caleb Downs and the floor was at 7 with Washington, which makes me think that, like, maybe somebody told him that they really, really like Caleb Downs. Maybe that's, like I said, this is more of me hoping that's the case. But in this case, I'm just going to go with them getting Carnell Tate. And then I'm still going to do the Mansour Delane here. And then I could see Kansas City going with Downs. You know what I mean? I could see them doing that. I could see them going with Ruben Bain. I'm going to just stick it with Ruben Bain here. And then also, like, the Giants, you know, now that they went with Sonny Styles in that first one, I think that they could probably go Jordan Tyson here instead, right? Because we know that they're in love with Jordan Tyson, and if they were able to address their defense, it just makes sense. Like, I know some people said they could go Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs. I just don't think that they go defense for both of these picks. Like, you got quality players on both sides of the ball. It makes more sense to go one offensive guy, one defensive guy. So in the first round, the first, you know, mock draft I did, I had not Monroe Freeling. I had Maui Noah going at 5, and then I had Downs going at 10, and then I also had the Commanders getting Jeremiah Love. In this version, I had, you know, them getting Sonny Styles with Love going to Tennessee, and then Commanders getting Tate, and then them getting Jordan Tyson afterwards. Caleb Downs would still be there, which probably means that he'd probably go to Miami or Dallas, which if he goes to Dallas, I would not like that either. But ultimately, I mean, look, there's a lot of changes that could happen, but those 2 picks, I think the most important picks for the Commanders, number 4 is really where the Commanders' eyes are going to be locked in. I think if Jeremiah Love gets past there, I really do believe he has a chance to be in a Commanders jersey come Friday. But if he gets taken there, it could be anything. It could be Tate. It could be a trade back. I mean, it could be Downs. I don't know, man. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. What I will say is this trade, I don't think really helps the Commanders, but it helps the intrigue of the draft. If you like to draft and you like the drama, it sounds like no one knows what's going on. Everybody's making their best educated guesses, and there might be a lot of change from here. But basically, I just want to jump in, talk about what I think the possibilities were, and I'm still praying. I'm praying for Love. I'm praying for Downs. Those are my top two guys. But to be honest, all these guys are really talented. Like, I mean, I like Styles. I like Tate. I like a lot of these guys. Tyson. There's a lot of talented people. They got to get somebody. I'm probably more on team stick and pick. I don't really want them to trade back. I don't think there's a bunch of guys that you would fall in love with outside the top 10 to 11 players. So I'm just like, yo, stick, pick somebody. Let's get it rolling. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later.